Hi, this is Ralph with a lot of things, and we are going to show you how to replace the nylon gear and move the metal gear to replace the nylon gear on a Toyota 325 model. Also, the model Toyota 39 is precisely the same gear mechanism and the threading mechanism. So one of the two is not a problem. I have removed the back side of the shell. There's two halves to the front and the back. You only need to remove the back side. And if you notice here that I have removed some of the parts here, which is the needle plate, the pressure foot, and because we'll be lowering the pressure foot. And then I removed part of the feed dog mechanism, which normally is on here, but what you do is you remove the two springs, and then you just take this down and move the two. There's two screws here, one on each side, that locks it into the positioner rod that makes the feed dogs go back and forth. So we did that prior, and once you do that, then you can get to the nylon gear. Now you'll notice that I have moved the metal gear, which this has to be unscrewed, and if you use a number 2 Allen wrench, which is metric, it's a number 2, and then there's two screws here, and you just loosen both of those up. Now what you'll have to do is you have to get a strong screwdriver and get behind here and pry it forward. Pry it forward enough to where it'll be independent of the nylon gear, so you can rotate the gears back into position. Now we will be removing the bottom. There's a screw over here, an Allen screw, which is right, get my little positioner here, right here is the Allen screw right on the lower shaft. You will loosen it up, this way you can independently move the nylon gear. So once we do that, and see, what you do is you take in, let me prop this up under, it makes it a little easier if you prop up the bottom here. So you just take in, let me get the proper Phillips screwdriver. So you just take and remove this from the old gear. Okay, and then what we do is that we move this shaft. I'm taking and pulling the shaft this way so we can remove, there it is. Okay, now this is the new gear, and you can see here by pulling this left and right, back and forth here, you just move it out of the way. You got to make sure that this upper shaft is not torquing that shaft there, so, and then you move it back there. You'll notice there is the screw hole that holds the nylon gear in. So what we do is just take and just put it back and line up that hole. You push it with your finger there. Put it behind here. Once you take and pull that gear, the metal gear, and then we're going to just line that thing back up here. Alright, there we go. And first thing you do is you put the screw in. Put the screw back in. You know, if I had 4 arms, I could really work on this really great. Okay, so let's get this back up here. Alright. And don't try to force that screw back in there. Make sure you got it lined up, because it'll go in nice and easy. And once you got it there, just give it a nice little tight there. You don't need to torque it like you would against a piece of metal, but give it a nice little tug there. Now, the next thing we will do is that we're going to turn the needle, the hand wheel at the far end here, down to where we're going to line up the hook. And the needle needs to be down in what they call the up-down position, to its lowest point. And once you do that, then you want to turn the shaft, and I've got the hook here lined up here, and you turn that and you want to line up the shaft here. Sometimes it's okay. I'm trying to do it with my fingers here, and sometimes it'll work easier if I get around here. Okay. See, I want that point of the shuttle to be at 12 o'clock, which is where the needle lines up, and then we want that shaft to be pointed approximately 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch. That point of the shuttle or hook must be above the eye of the needle, approximately 1/8 to 3/16. Okay, once we do that, okay, and then we take this here, and we want to position the gear. We want to position both of them, and this one here we want to be, let me get this one here, hold on. Okay, I get that thing lined up here. Sometimes I get a little stuck here, stuck on me. Alright, let's see, we got this thing here. Pull it back here a little bit. Okay. And we want to take and have this gear lined up on the bottom section, and we're going to set that baby down here. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to take and tighten up the bottom shaft. What happened to that thing? Is that the one? I guess so. Is that the one? Yeah. I don't tighten that up all the way yet. Okay, now if you look at the gear, the gear here, okay, we want that right about there. Alright. So now what we're going to do is position, let me tighten that up a little bit more. There. Alright. Okay. Alright. Alright, then I just lay this down on the front. I like to keep something underneath a little bit more even, because now what we're going to do is that we're going to take my little hammer here and we're going to just tap it down. Okay. Alright, tap that down into position. Okay. Alright. And you want to make sure you don't tap it too far, because then you're going to put pressure on the nylon gear. So as long as you can turn this wheel, you know, freely, like I've done here, then you'll be fine. And if it's too tight, then what you got to do is you got to pry up that metal gear from the back side, pry it up a little bit, and tweak it. You know, just give it a little tweak, and away you go. So now we take our little screw here for the Allen screw for the little one there for the gear. Okay, and then let's see. Okay. Tighten that thing up. Alright. Hi, this is Ralph again. We just had a little technical difficulty. The battery went dead. Anyway, we got the one screw and I tightened up the other screw, and with our little tool here, and got it into position. And so once we turn the hand wheel, okay, now what you want to do now is go back to the front. But let's take and put this back here, because I want to show you how to put this back. Now you have your whole mechanism here, and which would be the two screws that you removed on this. Okay. So these are the two little screws that holds the feed dogs into position. Now just put them in, don't tighten them up yet, because what you will have to do, because once you remove the needle plate and the feed dogs are there, you will have to reline, because this moves back and forth. So you have to line it back up once you put the needle plate back on. Okay. Put this back on here. Where's my little screwdriver? Sometimes I'm trying to work backwards. Now let's swing it around here a little bit. I guess I need to do it a little bit easier. Let's get this screw back in here. Get it started. Well, you know, it's, I know I gotta have the right screws. Yeah, there it goes. So you put the needle plate back on. Okay. And let's see, where's that little screw? It was right here a minute ago. There we go. These little screws keep moving around. Okay, once you get the needle plate back into position, you think I only done this yesterday? I've been doing this for over 50 years. So now, this is where you will line up your feed dogs, because the feed dogs will come through the holes there. Just happened so this machine here, I had removed the feed dogs. Okay, so once you do that there, you got them lined up, and then you can tighten up the bracket here, okay, like so. And also you got two springs that you have to replace back, one on each side. This particular one goes on this side, and it goes up underneath here, and then it comes straight down. When you look at the back, you'll see how it is attached. It's attached to the top of this bracket, to the top. There's a little hole under there, and you just go underneath that little hole. But I should have done it before I put the other piece on, and then you hook it on underneath this little area under here. And you just hook it under here, like if you have a little screwdriver like this here, you just bring it down underneath like so, and hook it there. Then you hook this part back underneath here. You see, this goes underneath this plate. If you take the plate off, you'll see. And the same thing with this particular one here. You just hook it back to the back hole, and then you just hook it underneath here. We'll probably do another segment after this one here. We have limited times here. Maybe we do it right now. It's not that big a deal. We just take these screws off. Because you know at least that you have to remove and replace the screws when you do the needle plate. Okay. And there's no special tool that you use. A very thin little screwdriver will work fine. And there's that little hole there, like so. And that, believe it or not, if it will go in the hole, but if you go into the hole first, okay, if you just take this here, put it down into the hole, see, like so, see, and then bring this little screwdriver down and just catch it underneath here, voila. See there? Now you caught the first part. Okay, now we take the other spring, and this one goes over here in that hole. Then you take this little gadget and wrap it down underneath and over here. And there you are. Okay? Just wrap it underneath here, bring it over here like so, and you're all set. See, that way it functions back and forth when your feed dogs are moving properly, see. Okay. Okay, so we get that done. We retighten the lower shaft. This year we're going to put the shuttle back in here, and then you'll see how you want this positioned. And I'm going to lay this down, and you'll be able to see when you bring this down here and bring this up to this point. You can see the point of the shuttle, and you see the hole of the needle between the eye of the needle and the point, okay, of that needle, which when you're setting it up is at 12 o'clock, setting it straight up, between 1/8 of an inch and 3/16 between the top portion of the hole, and that's your primary gauge. And you keep turning this wheel, the hand wheel, and full circle. Make sure it doesn't hit anything on the side there, and see, then it'll come back, and that's where it makes its loop from below. So that's when you got it in time. So we should have a good picture of that. Let me tilt it up a little bit more. You can see where that eye of the needle is. There we go. Hey, there it is, right there. And where the point of the shuttle is. So that there will represent your replacement of the gear and the realignment of the needle shaft to the shuttle. And that should get you going on that aspect. Then you just put back the rest of the shell there. It's not that difficult. I think we did show on one of the other videos removing the shell, but you don't have to remove the back half. Now once you do that, now sometimes if you just take and you want to prop this up so you can get to this lower Allen screw down here, which is, let's see if we can get a light over here. Here's the Allen wrench right here that you put there. That will loosen up your lower shaft so you can turn it independently of the upper shaft, because you got a connecting rod that goes from the lower shaft to the upper shaft, and this will loosen it, and that's the only one that you loosen. This way you can rotate this part here. In other words, let's take and do it right now so you can see. I'm going to loosen that shaft. There we go. Now if you notice now the needle will still move if you turn the hand wheel. And so that gives you an opportunity to put it back in alignment. Now sometimes they can go out of alignment if it hits something metal, or just was just something that happened where it could slip. And if it does that and the gear's fine, then all you have to do is loosen it up and then reline the needle, like you say, 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. Okay, but you want to make sure now, see that that's moving, so you hold it with the other hand, Okay, let's get this back here, and just I turn it with my finger. And if you loosen it up, you can do the same. And then just tighten this up. Now, one other thing to do is to remove all of the grease on below, because sometimes the factory will put too much grease and it really doesn't need any grease. So my advice is to take and turn the machine back again. I didn't have the hold down ring, that's okay. Is just take a Q-tip, rotate the wheel here, and before you put everything back together, make sure that all the grease is off of the main metal gear. Okay? And any place else, the only other place that sometimes they'll put some grease is back over on the other side where this connects together. So you want to clean that off as well. Sometimes they put some oil, too much. That oil doesn't need any oil on that. Other places they put a little oil on, that's not a problem like over here. But when you're talking about a connecting rod that's supposed to be stationary and not moved, sometimes they'll put some oil or grease in it. And so if you just take a Q-tip, clean it off best you can, but over here is the main thing on the gear. Okay, that's all we got for this segment of replacing the gear for the nylon gear for the Toyota 325 or the Model 39. So any other further questions, all you need to do is call our 800 number. That's 800-300-1917. And good sewing to you, and that's the end of this session.